Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server and we're having a look at another new vehicle that is coming in the next major update, and this time it is an American vehicle which, just like its brother the M44, is being passed around the place. This is the M55. It's another big SPH which was developed and produced by America, and it's another one that was exported all over the world, which is why we're getting at least 5 versions of it in War Thunder. You have the American version. By the way, they're all at rank 3 4.0, but you can see the American version here after the M44. You have the German version of it as well, which is right here between the Stug 3 and the Jagdpanzer 4. There is also the Chinese version, which is the Taiwan one, but it's on the right-hand side here between the M10 GNC and the ISU 152. Italy gets access to one too, and it's between the M43 105 and the Themovente 9053, and also France is getting one too between their M44 and their M36B2. So this vehicle is exactly the same BR as its brother, the M44. And you may be wondering why, because this vehicle looks so much bigger and so much better, right? Well, it's bigger in certain ways, better in certain ways, but worse in others. First of all, this vehicle is based off of the M47 chassis. You can see here that it's actually mounted on the back of the chassis, whereas the engine is in the front of it, and also the transmission. This is actually kind of cool because of the fact that you have this kind of extra piece of armor here, and at the same time, it still goes fast pretty well forward and also backwards. It's also able to take the weight of the big gun and everything else pretty well. If you compare this to the M44 chassis, this one, I believe, is based off the Bulldog chassis, which is a lot lighter and also has it kind of back to front, but has a similar kind of like power to it. And then if you have a look at the superstructure, the M44 is completely open and at the same time only has around 12.7 millimeters worth of armor. So the M55 is a little bit better. It has 12.7 millimeters once again, which isn't great, but it is completely enclosed. So it means it's a little bit harder to overpressure this thing with artillery and also bombs and stuff, but it's not a lot harder, right? Like it's still going to die very quickly. You're still going to get hammered, all of that good stuff. But the big difference between the M55 and the M44 is the M55 gets a bigger donker. This thing gets a 203mm M47 cannon, whereas the M44 only gets the 155. And that means that this M55 gets access to a longer reload, but a much, much larger HE round. This M106 HE round it fires nearly at 600 meters per second, and also at the same time has 104 kilos worth of projectile mass. So it's literally a 100-kilo shell, and also has TNT equivalent in it of 23.06 kilos, which is incredibly impressive. It also has 64.7 millimeters of high explosive fragmentation, which is also quite nice, meaning that if you hit a target, you will generally overpressure it. If you want to have a look at kind of a comparison vehicle, I suppose, maybe we could go for like a Sherman, for example, which is something that this thing will actually fight quite a lot. So here's the good old Sherman Firefly. And what ends up happening is that if you go into protection analysis and shoot at this thing, you'll find that with the round, it should actually do quite a lot of damage, even if it can't specifically pen an area. So if you have a look at the protection map, you can see that even if it wasn't for the bushes, you can literally shoot this thing anywhere and it will overpressure. And that is the might of having a massive HE shell. Even if you don't have the penetration, you can literally just crack the armor, which means that everything inside gets overpressured. So what you're looking to do with this M55 is you're not looking to really pen anything, you're looking to basically sneak some of the HE into a gap on a vehicle to be able to overpressure it and then just annihilate it, and that's what it's there for. Everything else is pretty bog standard. It only has 10 rounds. I mean, it's a 203mm, what do we expect? You know, these rounds are absolutely huge. These 2 pieces of ammunition on either side. It has a 6-man crew because it needs an army to be able to load the thing. And then also you have the gunner, the commander, and 3 loaders plus the driver. You actually do have the updated model, which is quite nice, with the driver controls here and then also the radiator on the top and also the optics and the horizontal drive, which looks really cool. So I'm glad that they put the effort into there, and also the kind of little armor bays for the ammo too. A really nice little touch for something that, to be honest, I think most people would have been fine if it didn't exist, but it's really nice that they put the extra effort in. Also, at the same time, since it's a TD, you don't get any of the extra pieces of it, and this is what kind of sucks with TDs. You don't get scouting, you don't get artillery, you just kind of get a lighter SP cost, and then that's about it, and you know, that kind of sucks. And what we've seen around this BR is a lot of SPHs actually struggle because of the fact that they don't get access to additional stuff, and they're open top, and they get overpressured easily. Stuff like the Dickermax, stuff like the Stura Mill, they're always going to be infinitely worse to use than a Sherman, for example, because of those factors. With the M55, it's probably going to have a similar deal. Even though it has a pretty good gun depression, it can also traverse the turret either way. It gets stuck basically around here, so it's about plus or minus 30. The major issue is going to be the reload on this thing. That's going to be the huge limiting factor. It is actually kind of nice that this thing gets a 50 cal though, so at least you'll be able to defend yourself a little bit against CAS elements, but it's not going to be that fruitful compared to what else is around the place, because obviously around the place you're going to have a lot of crazy stuff happening. So for me, when it comes to this type of vehicle, it's going to be a generally rough spade once you do one of them, and then when you do 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, it's probably going to get a little bit dull, which isn't precisely fun. So the biggest issue with this is obviously trying to make your shells count, and against Russian vehicles, that is very hard to do, especially if you just miss. I'm going to let you listen to the gun from the inside because it does actually sound really cool. There we go. Has a nice little ping to it. The other thing that this vehicle also has, at least modeled, is this kind of little spade thing at the back, and also these anchors on it. So what you would do in order to fire this thing, you would plonk that down to be able to stabilize yourself, because there's so much kickback on this gun. Now, when it comes to War Thunder, that doesn't seem to be a thing. So you don't have to plonk it back to be able to shoot. And also, as you can see, this thing has the ammo box, which basically makes it a little bit easier to use. You can see the targeting speed is not exactly fantastic, but it's literally an SPH. I don't know what people kind of expect. Right, here we go again. This is another shot. You can see how loud it is, and also how proud it is to be able to not do any damage to that vehicle over there. And that's one of the issues with this thing. Like, even if you do get a kill every 30 seconds, there's so many vehicles now which have 5-second to 7-second reloads, so therefore they can get, you know, kills every, let's say, 10 seconds. So you're basically trading, you know, 1 against 3 every time you take out this type of vehicle, and that isn't very good. So if you're using this for like a derp launcher, if you're using this as like a derp launcher to be able just to bonk stuff and have a bit of fun, sure, why not, you know? Might as well enjoy yourself while you're here on this earth. But if you're looking for like a competitive vehicle to actually do something in, yeah, this probably isn't the choice, is it? And that kind of sucks, but, you know, not everything has to be meta. Gaijin has made this choice to kind of bring in these big kind of SPHs, and it looks like they're not stopping yet, even with this big old M55. Just to kind of show you the recoil, which is on the vehicle, pretty nuts that it's able to move this thing so far as that. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.